Thanks for joining. What I'd like to share with you in this particular module is hopefully something that's, I would say, maybe inspirational, but at least informational about why I chose options and why I gravitate to doing most of my investing in that space. And then, if it's something you're interested in or you want to learn more, a little bit about how we can help you get from here to there. What is that roadmap? What does the path look like? What does the journey look like from beginner to doing this as a business, maybe a supplemental income or maybe a primary income? So to start off with, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Bill. I'm an investor and a professional trader. Not in the sense that I trade other people's money. I don't run a hedge fund. Not interested in that. I'm not a licensed broker dealer, but I do this as my profession. This is how I provide for my family. This is how I put food on the table. I've been trading options as well as stocks and futures for more than 20 years, in some cases a lot more than 20 years. And I do trade a sizable account. And I bring that up certainly not to impress anybody, but because I want you to know I'm not messing around. This is how I make my living, and I have a substantial amount at risk, and I wouldn't do that if I didn't know what I was doing. So I say that for that reason alone. You don't need that, and it's not to say that anybody else needs that much money. In fact, one of the beautiful things about options is you can literally start with a very, very small account, even hundreds of dollars if that's what you have, and then grow from there. And as you learn, your account size will grow as well. At least that's the idea. I'm married with 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 dogs. I live part-time in Puerto Rico, overlooking the beautiful Caribbean, and part of the time in Colorado, where we live just a short distance from Rocky Mountain National Park. We love the mountains. We also love being by the sea, and we're fortunate enough to be able to split our time between those 2 places, as well as traveling a fair amount. So enough about me. Let's talk about why I trade options. And I will tell you, I gravitated to what I do today primarily. I gravitated here over the course of a lot of time, and so hopefully I can share my experience, and that'll be beneficial to you. But there's a very good set of reasons here why I specifically trade mostly options, and I do some other things as well. I have some real estate. I've done that over time. I've invested in businesses. I've done some lending, but this is how I really focus my time and energy today, because it really is efficient. And one of the things I love, for the amount of energy and the amount of time I have to spend and the amount of capital, the outsized gains are tremendous. And I mentioned, this is how I make my living. It's important to me to be able to get sizable gains. Last year, my overall portfolio grew over 70%. And that's not normal. That was a pretty exceptional year. But I can generally count on 30, 35, 40%. That's more typical. And that's very difficult to do with many other investment types, especially spending as little time as I do. One of the things I love about my option trades is a very, very high win rate, meaning that when I put on a trade, generally the types of trades we do, 70, 80, 90%, most of my personal trades win more than 90% of the time. And the beauty of that is it's just psychologically easy. I have done some other types of trading, and I have friends who are day traders, and some of them, they're very successful winning 50% of the time. So they'll have winners and losers. They'll only win 50% of the time, but they're successful because the winners are bigger than the losers. And that's great. But it's, for me personally, and my personality, it's psychologically draining to have long strings of losers, which can happen when you've got a 50% win rate. You can easily have strings of losers. So I love the high win rate, and I love the idea that it provides a very consistent, steady income. My portfolio balance is not super volatile. It just sort of steadily plugs away and grows, and that's a great thing to have as a characteristic of the type of trading you do. The other thing I love about trading options is I can really control my risk. I can hedge my portfolio. I can manage how much I have at risk and be very clear about that. And again, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be risking the amount of money I do if I didn't have a pretty good handle on what the risk profile looks like. So options allow you to do that in a way that many other investments don't. I also love the strategy flexibility. If I see a company that's just I'm certain is going to explode, and by the way, I'm not good at calling directions, so I don't do this very often, but I can construct a bullish position that will make money if that happens, more than just buying their stock. And then the opposite's true. If I think a company's not doing well, we can construct a position that will make money if they don't do well, or if I think they're going to trade in a range, or sometimes I like to buy stock for the long run in certain things. I don't own a lot of stocks that I do this with, but sometimes I might buy an ETF or a stock, and because I understand options, I get to buy it at a discount. And there's some tricks you can do to buy stock at a discount if that's something you're interested in. So because I understand how options work, I have flexibility in constructing many different positions and strategies. So I love that. I love that idea, and I love that I can take I can take whatever idea I have and construct a position around it. The other thing I love is the minimal time commitment that trading options requires. I would say I spend 15, maybe 30 minutes a week on my trading. That's it. Not a day, a week, 30 minutes a week. And that's just very difficult to do with other types of investments. We've owned different types of real estate over the years, many different types. We've owned commercial office buildings, we've owned restaurant buildings, we've owned airplane hangars and apartment buildings and single family homes. And all those are great. Real estate's a great way to invest and make money. I think it can work. It also can bite you. I mean, it's not without risk, right? No investment is. But the reality is, it still takes time. And yes, we had property managers, and yes, they handled a lot of the day-to-day stuff, but somebody still has to manage the manager. And as your portfolio grows and you start getting more and more assets, what ends up happening is it starts to take a serious toll on your time. And so compared to that, this is nirvana, right? So for me, it made a lot of sense to migrate more of my assets towards doing this than real estate. We still own some real estate, but the reality is that this is just a night and day difference in the amount of time required. And finally, I can do this from anywhere. It's easy. I don't have to worry about being present. And I know there are people who say you can own real estate remotely. But having been on both sides of that, owned it locally and owned it remotely, I much prefer to own it locally, where I can watch over it. I can understand the market. I can understand the sort of unique requirements of that market. And I know that, again, I know that there are ways to handle some of that stuff, but it takes energy, it takes effort, and it takes time. This I can do from anywhere in minutes. I mean, I've traded from an airplane, not very often, don't need to very often, but I've traded from ferries, I've traded from cruise ships, and of course all over the world. And as I mentioned, we live in different places. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I can do the exact same things. Everything's online, everything's electronic. The tools that are available today to the retail trader are enormous. So this is really the main reasons that I trade options. There might be some different reasons for you. For example, one of the great ones I mentioned earlier is just low capital requirements. So that's a good reason to think about starting out with options. This is, for me, a really compelling set of reasons. Now, if this is interesting to you and you want to learn more about it, this acronym LEAP, it depicts a sort of a roadmap, or the ideas that I would say you have to think about to get from here to there. The L stands for learn. So the first thing you have to do is just learn some basics. And I just mean basics. This doesn't take a lot of time, but just learning a bit about how options work. And we've got modules for you on this that teach you a little bit about the terminology and how the market works and those types of things. And then as you learn a very basic strategy, which again we will teach you, the next thing is to start exercising that strategy, start practicing. In other words, get out there and place some trades, and do this in a paper trading account or in a trade simulation account where you're not risking real money. If you can't make money with fake money, then I don't know why you'd think you'd make money with real money. So you want to start out with a simulation account, and then you want to start with very small positions. As you're doing that, you're going to be learning other strategies, and again we'll help you with this, but you'll build a strategy playbook that allows you to find the strategy that works for you, that works around your work schedule and around your family schedule and around your risk tolerances and your liquidity needs. So you'll figure out the ones that fit you. I can tell you, you don't need a dozen strategies or dozens of strategies or even a handful of strategies. You really need to master one or two trades to start with. Over time, you'll build out your mastery of different types of trades. I will tell you, I still to this day, I trade 90% of my account with one type of trade, one type of structure, and I've gotten very good at it because that's all I do. So number one, I've mastered that trade, and the market can throw crazy things at, last year when COVID hit, the market, if you were paying attention, dropped 35%. I didn't care. I was able to handle that sort of volatility because I really had mastered this trade, because I've been doing it for so long, and that's really all I focus on. So you'll get to where you really understand how to do that, and maybe you'll get a second or a third trade, but you don't need a slew of them. You just really need to focus. And once you understand and can really work a trade well for you, then you start this pursuit. And the pursuit idea is, how do I pursue this as a business? How do I pursue this as a whole entity? The trading psychology, the tools and the expense pieces that I need to go around it, and ultimately building a business plan or a trade plan, which is really a business plan for trading. How do I build this and then start to scale it in a way that it now becomes a business? It now becomes a secondary income, or maybe someday a primary income, or a way to build a nest egg. But I'm thinking about it as a business or a longer term entity. So that's sort of the path that we think about. And again, there are modules that will go along with this, or that do go along with this. But I hope this at least gives you some exposure to what the journey will look like, getting from here to there. If this is interesting, I hope you'll jump into some of the other learning modules, and we will see you there.